Hello, and welcome to today's forum. The League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and Metro Cable Channel 14 are pleased to bring you this forum featuring candidates running for City Council District 4 in Sacramento for the June 5th primary election. My name is Tricia Erhammer, a member of the Sacramento County League of Women Voters and the moderator of today's forum. The League of Women Voters is a non-partisan, nonprofit organization made up of both men and women that encourages active and informed participation of citizens in government at all levels. The League does not support or oppose any candidate or political party. Rather, the League provides information and moderates candidate forums such as this to help voters learn more about the issues and candidates to make informed choices on their ballot. The format of today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will be offered a 1-minute opening. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our panel with a 1-minute limit. The questions have been submitted by the panelists and reviewed by the League of Women Voters. Finally, each candidate will conclude with a 1-minute closing. We will now move to today's forum featuring candidates running for District 4. To my far right, Terry Shantz, Neil Davidson. To my left, Steve Hansen and Joe Yee. Welcome, and thank you for joining in today's forum. 3 candidates are not with us today: Michael Ream, Phyllis Newton, and David Turturici. Sitting on our panels of questionnaires are Foon Rhee, Cosmo Garvin, Pia Lopez, and Melissa Corker. Thank you, too, for joining us today from our local media. And now we are ready to begin with opening statements. The candidates have drawn straws for the order of opening statements. All candidates will receive equal time in answers today, and the order of statements for the beginning will also be the order of statements for the close. So although Terry Shantz will have the first word, Joe Yee will have the last word of the forum. Terry, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you first to the League, and thank you very much to the panelists for your participation today, and thank you, Sacramento, for your interest in this important campaign and this important race for our future. My name is Terry Shantz. I'm a candidate for Sacramento City Council District 4. I'm a 4th-generation Sacramentan. I was born and raised in the home my great-grandparents built in Land Park. My grandfather's a 20-year firefighter. My other grandfather retired from professional baseball as a Sacramento Solon. I'm a product of Sacramento's public schools. Received my first job from former Congressman Bob Matsui. I've spent the better part of the past decade working in public policy. What I'm looking to do on the City Council is use the work that I've done to encourage sustainable development, to encourage mixed-use infill opportunities, to be smart how we grow our downtown. We can have a smart and way that we grow our downtown. We can be really engaged, and I look forward to talking with you and having you learn more about me and engaging for your support this June. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Neil Davidson.
Good morning, my name is Neil Davidson, and I'm a 35-year-old senior information technology analyst from the County of Sacramento. From that point of view, I've worked for the last 10 years to build and develop large-scale applications, including consensus and with that, I want to actually bring that to the City Council and help rebuild the infrastructure within the city. As many of you know, our water plant is falling apart, and we're just now talking about getting it back together, but that's been around for at least 90 years, and we should have been doing something about it for like the last 20. So, thank you.
Thank you. Steve Hansen.
Good morning. My name is Steve Hansen. I first want to thank the League for putting on this forum, for the panelists for taking your time, and to the public for taking so much interest in what is Sacramento's most lively city council race in our living memories, probably. I've lived in Sacramento for a decade and given myself back to the community for the last decade, working to build a playground in Zapata Park for the kids that didn't have one, served on the CARES Clinic board for 6 years, and have served on the Downtown Partnership Board representing residents for the last 4 years. I believe that Sacramento is a wonderful city, but a city that has a lot of challenges, but also opportunities. We need innovation. We need to build a sustainable city that doesn't just build on farm fields, but also builds in the rail yard. And I hope to work with you to make this city even better as we build a brighter future for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. And Joe Yee.
Thank you. And again, not to sound repetitive, but thank you to the League for having this forum. I think it is important to have informed citizens to make decisions that will affect Sacramento and District 4 today, tomorrow, and into the future. I am Joe Yee, and I've had the privilege to serve District 4 in the city for 18 years. I have served for 14 years on the city's Plan Commission. I've served 4 years as the chair of the city's General Plan Advisory Committee, and 3 years on the Sacramento Heritage Board of Directors. I was also appointed to the City Council in the year 2000 to represent District 4. As a parent and as a small business owner, as a lifetime resident of Sacramento, I am an advocate for responsible growth, for business growth, and would wish to have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, candidates, for watching that time. We will now move to the question and answer portion of this forum. Foon Rhee, would you please ask the first question first of Terry Shantz? And because we have only 4 candidates, all candidates will answer all questions.
Sure, thanks very much. So as you know, the district has changed quite a bit since the last time through redistricting. So how would you balance the needs and the priorities of Land Park and Midtown, the 2 major components of the district?
I think it's important to understand that the district encompasses all of the central city. I consider Land Park, downtown, Midtown, I consider all this part of the central city. A 5-minute stroll or bus ride or drive into the downtown makes us all part of the central city. And I think that there's a unifying factor of all these neighborhoods, which is that we have great, vibrant, historic neighborhoods. And no matter if you're in Newton Booth or in Boulevard Park or in Alkali Flats or in Old Land Park, we share the common values of wanting to maintain the quality of life for the residents in there, to honor the history of the architecture in the neighborhood, and to preserve the quality of life for families and for small businesses to operate and to thrive. I think that's a unifying value that all those neighborhoods share, and I think that it is something that we can work together on the City Council to make sure we're protecting all of our historic neighborhoods.
Thank you. Neil, your reply?
The one nice thing about having distinct areas is that we can have vibrant and different options for everyone living in the city, so that we do get the benefit of having different ideas, different thoughts, different entertainment options. And I think that part of what makes Sacramento great is that if you are going to Alkali Flats or you're going to Land Park, they're completely different vibes, and that works for us. And I would like to keep working towards that.
Thank you. Steve?
In the redistricting process, I worked to make sure the central city was all in one district, because we have some neighborhoods in the city that have been underrepresented or have deferred needs. I think that we have a great quilt of neighborhoods in District 4, about 13 different neighborhood associations and PBIDs, all working to make their community better. And the needs in Land Park are different from the needs in Little Pocket, are different from the needs in River Oaks, are different from the needs of the central city on the grid. And I hope to make sure that by being accessible, by having a strong team, by also working with community advocates and leaders, that we build and rebuild the communities that we love so much, not just the historic neighborhoods, but we've got to work on flood control. And so there has to be a balance, and it's going to take somebody who has a lot of energy and commitment to really empowering others to get the job done, and that's me.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. While the question refers to Land Park and Midtown, it is the challenge of a council member to represent the entirety of the district. And whether it is Southland Park, clear over to River Oaks and Swallow's Nest and such, it is important to communicate with the communities, the diverse communities that we have, the diverse business areas that we have, and understand their priorities and work collaboratively to achieve the balance that we all need to maintain the vibrancy of Midtown, to maintain our residential areas, and to make sure that all the needs are addressed and recognized.
Thank you. We will now move to the second question. Cosmo, if you will please direct it first to Neil Davidson.
Okay. Guys, during the campaign, we watched an arena deal implode pretty spectacularly, and I'm kind of wondering where you think we are now with this idea. Do we need to build an arena to attract or keep a pro basketball team? If we don't need to build an arena, what should we do to kind of, make up for not having a pro basketball team anymore, if anything?
I think an arena would be an amazing thing for downtown. It would bring people in, it would increase the ability for more restaurants, more entertainment options, just besides the arena, and also more tax revenue, which we desperately need, particularly in that area. As for losing the Kings, that's not set in stone. I know that there's been talk, and the Seattle Weekly Times actually speculated on whether or not they were going to get it, but we can't make those judgments without knowing more about the Maloof situation. I don't exactly know where to go from here. I don't have enough information on the Plan B that Kevin Johnson has spoke about, but I would like to know more because I do think it would be a great addition to the downtown.
Thank you. Steve?
I think the question really comes down to what's right for the city of Sacramento. We have a moment now, because this deal has fallen apart, to really assess what's right for us, what we would like. And I think we need to take a step back, talk to people in the community. It's been far too much about basketball, frankly, and not enough about the kind of city we want to live in. We've invested money in the Crocker Memorial Auditorium, all these wonderful amenities, and I think the people of Sacramento care about our cultural infrastructure. But that being said, we are in a dire budget situation. We can't afford our pools, we can't afford our community centers, and we've laid off cops. I think that we need to understand what our priority is now and work with the public if the Kings leave to make sure we have a good plan B, but also to understand how we take care of our basic priorities of protecting the public's health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. The question really is not of the arena. Given our budget constraints or budget deficits over the next few years, it is what is the priority for us as a society, as a district, as a city. There are many benefits to the arena. There is job creation, there is an economic engine, there are many things that could be beneficial to the city. However, now, when we have a moment to pause and think and reflect on what has happened in the past 12 months, let us take a chance to reprioritize. Is the arena still good? Is this the right time for the arena? I don't challenge the benefit of the arena necessarily, but we have other priorities, we have other needs, and maybe this is the time to readdress those. And given whether the Kings are here or not, I think the city will survive, the city will thrive. I like basketball, I think it's a great sport, but the city will move forward.
Thank you. Terry?
Thank you. I'm the only candidate at this panel today that from the day that the term sheet came out through the time that the March 6th vote took place till today, that felt that the proposal for a downtown entertainment sports complex was frankly a bad deal for city taxpayers. I believe it was a bad deal for city taxpayers then. I believe it's a bad deal for city taxpayers now. I think a downtown entertainment sports complex would be extremely beneficial to the downtown, to bring vibrancy and to spur additional infill development in the downtown. But I think ultimately the private sector needs to take a leadership role in financing a proposed entertainment sports complex. Frankly, when it comes down to it, if it's a good deal for business, business will invest. I think we see great opportunities to invest in our downtown, and it really is incumbent upon the private sector to show leadership and to make sure that they're going to put their finances to ensure the success of a private entity.
Thank you. We move on to the next question. Pia, will you please ask the next question first of Steve Hansen?
Steve, the arena is just a small part of what was envisioned for the rail yard. Can all of the candidates tell us a little bit about what priorities you would have for the historic Central Shops buildings, and the transportation hub, and the rest of the 240-acre site?
So in the 1920s, we first proposed to extend the grid into the rail yards. 240 acres, right next to our downtown, and it's taken almost 100 years. And we see just the beginning of that progress, which is unfortunate because we've built on farm fields, some of the most fertile in the world in Natomas. I would like to see the Powerhouse Science Center completed in the old PG&E building along the river. It would be a regional attraction, a destination not just for our children, but for many people who are inspired by science and innovation. Second, the central yard shops. I think that we've got a plan to expand the Railroad Technology Museum and turn the other couple buildings into a marketplace, into boutiques, into the kind of things that would draw people back into the city. The intermodal station should be a top priority as well, but we need a destination for people to want to use the intermodal station. And I also think we need to just add rooftops, frankly. We need more people living and working in the downtown to sustain our business environment.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. The intermodal is the most important project that is still before us. There has been a lot of time, effort, money spent on intermodal. To me, the intermodal is the fixed element of the rail yards development. That is the given. And others should respect, other projects that come forward should respect the intermodal and to design with that in mind, with those constraints in mind. What makes sense for a rail yard changes over time. And we have seen many master plans, many thoughts, many efforts relative to the development, the design, the master planning of the rail yards. We do have the courts building there, which I believe is still going forward, but we need to have residents, we need to have a mix of entertainment, we need to have a mix of businesses, and that is what's going to create a vibrant area that will then connect to Old Sacramento and to downtown and help the region as a whole.
Thank you. Terry?
The completion of the intermodal station is my #1 priority for the rail yards. We've worked several decades at the federal, state, and local level to make the intermodal a reality, and I think we need to prioritize that above all other development in the rail yards. I think what's really exciting about the rail yards for me is the opportunity to use transit, to use an intermodal station as really a launching pad for the largest infill development opportunity in the nation. We've got one shot to make sure that we get it right. We've got one shot to make sure that we do infill, make sure that we do transit-oriented development, making sure that we do mixed-use infill, and we do it smart, that we make better uses of our land and make better uses of how we are able to move throughout the downtown area. I think the intermodal is going to be the center of that, and I think that we're going to be able to grow and use our work really using Senator Steinberg's SB 375, using a lot of the tools that are available to us to make sustainable development a reality, and the intermodal is the means to get us there.
Thank you. And Neil?
Like a number of the other candidates have said, the intermodal is very important. But I also think this is a great opportunity. It's blank land. We could do green space such as San Diego has, or even something not as large as Central Park, obviously, but it's just a great opportunity to build something amazing, even something similar to Golden Gate Park. But I agree, we need housing, we need shops, we need entertainment. Specifically, I would also like to see medium-sized entertainment venues, something between, say, the Crest and Memorial, or something between Memorial or Power Balance. Those are things that are actually missing in Sacramento that we could actually build there.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. Melissa, will you please first direct the question to Joe?
Thank you. Assuming that there's no city catastrophe before you're sworn in, what do you see as one top priority for your district and the one top priority for citywide?
My top priority for the district right now, open Southside Park swimming pool. I believe that that is a significant need in that community. There are few options for those people living in Southside Park to have any recreation, swimming options outside of this area. It's just difficult to access a swimming pool for those who are living in Southside Park. So that would be my #1 priority for the city. I would like to see Second Saturday, which today is, continue and thrive as a unique venue. Now, Second Saturday does encompass the whole of the city. While the heart may be on J Street in Midtown, there are venues throughout the city. I think we need to recognize the importance of arts. That's performing arts, graphics, and what have the whole range of arts, and support that.
Thank you. Terry?
My #1 priority for the city and for the district is to restore our public safety services that have been so dramatically cut over the past several years. Our #1 function, our primary function as a city, is to provide public safety services to our residents. These are services that our residents pay for and rely upon, and we have an obligation to make sure that we are prioritizing that. If someone is having an emergency where minutes count between life and death, we cannot afford, frankly, to not have the resources and the officers and the personnel available to respond to that emergency. Once we are able to take care of that, I think our second priority needs to be really being smart about how we grow our downtown. We need to be smart about how we use infill as a development tool. We need to be smart to use mixed-use opportunities so we don't create dead zones in our downtown, so we can have lively interactions with our urban grid through all hours of the day. I think it's important that we plan for now to make sure that that becomes a reality in the future.
Thank you. Neil?
The #1 priority is finding safe ground for our long-term homeless. Unfortunately, summer's coming and it's going to get really hot and really a terrible situation for them. And I think that we have the power to do something immediately to help them.
Thank you. Steve?
Well, no doubt, these are all very important things. My #1 priority is to make sure that we rebuild our sales tax base and our property tax base. We have let so much of our economic opportunity go to the surrounding suburbs. We've been over-reliant on the government sector and the construction sector to power our economy. We need to innovate. We need to diversify our economy. That's how we fund those services that everybody up here wants to protect. But unless we focus on jobs, unless we focus on innovation and diversifying our economy, we will not be able to sustain ourselves as a city. We are the worst for economic recovery in the entire state out of large cities, 20th out of 20. We need, as a city, to make sure that we're paying attention to diversifying. We've got a great arts community that could power our economy. We also have tech entrepreneurs here that get no support from the city. In fact, the city doesn't even know they exist. We need to turn our attentions to rebuilding that sales tax base and property tax base.
Thank you. Foon, if you would please direct the next question again to Joe. I'm going to reverse the order for the next set of questions.
Sure, thank you. The city has a plan to change garbage service by reducing recycling pickup and requiring green waste containers and restricting the claw to the fall leaf season. Do you support the plan? And if you don't support the plan, what would you do differently?
Well, I think the current plan, which actually is a two-tier plan, is very difficult to administer effectively. I think it causes confusion. I think it is just more expensive. I think the solution is to go to one system. And I know that the curbside pickup, the claw, is very important to many people, and many people in District 4. The proposed change should be put before the voters, and to have their voice and to have their input on the system. The current proposal for green waste pickup is, I believe, too rigid in the times of the year in which they will pick up green waste on the street. It needs to be more flexible to address the circumstances of yearly change in leaf drops from season to season. But I think we need to gravitate towards a single system that is the best for all.
Thank you. Steve?
The current system isn't working, and the proposed system probably isn't going to be perfect either. Right now, people put their green waste piles on the street, and when I walk around neighborhoods, I take pictures of piles that have been there for months because workers haven't picked them up. We don't know exactly where those trucks are, when people's garbage is getting picked up. I hear from people their houses get missed all the time. We need to make sure that if people are paying for a service, they're getting a service. So first, we need to make sure that we're providing what is just essential garbage pickup. Second, the plan the council put forward relies essentially on the voters approving the repeal of a 1978 measure that protects the claw to make sure that voters have buy-in. We can't take away the claw until voters vote in November. But the opportunity is to stabilize garbage rates for 3 years, bring back large item pickup, and make some other tweaks that essentially could make the system better. The only thing I would say is it's going to be a work in progress, and I'm going to work with the public and the neighborhoods to get it right.
Thank you. Neil?
I don't have a particular issue with recycling going to biweekly. I don't know the metrics on how much goes in or out, but I assume that the city planners have figured that out. In terms of green waste, the problem that I have with the proposal is we don't have information on what would 100% claw or what 100% can service, what that would actually cost. We've just been told that it will cost something for a hybrid model, and that's a problem in terms of figuring out what would actually be better long term. And I agree with the other members that it's actually law that we have the claw and that would have to be dealt with.
Thank you. And Terry?
When I received my utility bill statement last year informing me that I was receiving a green waste bin and I could opt out, I called the city utility department and I opted out that day. The fact is, in my neighborhood and in neighborhoods throughout the city, there's just frankly more green waste than there is space in a 90-gallon bin. And I think we need to make sure that we're being responsive to the realities that in a city of trees, we're going to have a city of green waste that we're going to have to deal with appropriately. I think moving forward in the future, while green waste bins may work better in the downtown area or in areas of higher density, in residential areas, the fact is we need to make sure that we're being responsive to the realities of living in a city with an amazing urban canopy. We need to make sure that even if it's going to cost residents more, I think residents are going to be willing to pay for the claw. People are going to be willing to pay for alternatives to make sure that our storm drains can remain clean and clear, and that our green waste can be dealt with appropriately.
Thank you. Cosmo, if you will please ask the next question first of Terry.
Okay. Terry, all of the candidates that I've heard from want to create more jobs in the city. Everybody's for economic growth. Do you have some specific ideas that we haven't heard about how to promote economic growth, and why are you a better person to elect on this issue?
Sure. There's a great deal of things that we can do to grow our downtown. That's not necessarily relying upon an arena, although that would be one opportunity. I think our greatest opportunity is to, frankly, look around us and see what are the needs of the residents in our area. People are looking for housing opportunities that are closer to the urban area, closer to the urban core. People are looking for opportunities to live without having to use vehicles. People are looking for opportunities to use bicycles or use pedestrian modes of transportation. We need to harness that. We need to look at new industries. We need to look for new industries. We need to look no further than the people around us. We have an aging population. We have a growing population of seniors that we're going to be needing services in the years to come. And I think there's a growth opportunity there, whether it comes from healthcare to various senior services, that we'll be able to launch forward to address the needs of the residents in this community and to provide important, well-paying jobs for people to provide those services in the future.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. I believe that job creation is a balance between opportunities and quality of life. By opportunities, I mean the reevaluation of our regulatory requirements and how we do business, that we need to provide a support system for business, that we need to provide some transparency and efficiency in how businesses are businesses are recruited, how they grow, and how we as a city relationship with business. Business is the economic engine that will help save or help our economic recovery. It also goes hand in hand with the quality of life. We need to maintain all the amenities that will create the interest in businesses to locate and grow in Sacramento.
Thank you. Steve?
Cosmo, you asked for ideas, so here's a few ideas for you. When I got into this race, I decided that I would donate my council salary to make an innovation fund for the city. It would be seed money, and I've already got commitments from some foundations, soft commitments, to match it. I think we could put together $500,000 a year to really help our tech entrepreneurs, to help create the kind of environment that catalyzes job growth and opportunity. For me, I look around, having spent 7 years at Genentech, which is one of California's most proud technology enterprises, and I look and see opportunities in Sacramento in high tech. We have companies like AppNC and Loot and what used to be Mark Otero's company, ClickNation. And we have those entrepreneurs here, but they get no support. I'd like to create a technology retreat center here. In the summers, Sacramento used to be the Palm Springs of Northern California before we had planes and roads. I'd like to get those people from San Francisco here to enjoy our sun and also see if we can put our hooks in them and show them what a wonderful city we have.
Thank you. Neil?
As I've mentioned in the past, we don't have any medium-sized entertainment venues. And in a world where anyone can go out and go to Amazon and buy something and not have to leave their house, we need reasons for people to come into the city, to shop, to eat. And so by having those kinds of opportunities, you actually get stimulative effects on all of them at once. So, as I said, between the Crest Theater, which has 1,000 people, and Memorial, which does about 4,500 people, we're missing the bands that could do 2,000, or the art shows that could do 2,000. Between Memorial and then between Power Balance, we have 5,000 all the way up to 17,000. So again, we're missing like bands and entertainment options that could do about 10,000 people. There are opportunities out there that we could take advantage of.
Thank you. Pia, if you will please direct the next question first to Neil.
Neil, I'm going to follow up on what you just said. What role do you believe civic amenities such as the arts, music, science, museums, theater, and parks should have in the city, and what should the city do in the next 4 years to improve the quality of civic amenities?
Actually, I think I just answered that in the first question. The reason that people go out and interact with the city and interact with each other is because of the amenities that exist. I mean, you go to work, you go to the grocery store, but you live in a city because it provides the things that you want to do. The parks, particularly amazing things like Land Park and McKinley Park, but also like the downtown museums, the California History Museum. We need to be working towards and promoting those things. And I know that right now in a very, very hard budget cycle, we can't actually give a lot of money to those things, but we can do our best to get out there and be seen and talk about those opportunities.
Thank you. Terry?
I think we've got really an amazing artistic, creative scene here in Sacramento. I think Second Saturday has really grown and evolved a great deal, and I think we can continue to work to make sure that that growth is done constructively and so that families can enjoy the great cultural opportunities that Second Saturday provides. I think we can also do a great deal of stuff on a planning level. We see what's happening on our street, where you've got artist colonies going up in industrial areas. You've got proposed mixed-use opportunities where you have artists live-work lofts and other types of development opportunities that are going to fuel and build artists, their capabilities to grow and to thrive and to add to the great culture of the city. We ultimately need to make sure that our revenues are going to our core services, and that as we grow our city, we're going to be able to provide artistic opportunities, creative arts opportunities, cultural opportunities to our residents to really round out a great quality of life for people in Sacramento.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, I think the arts community is an important integral part of Sacramento. It is what makes Sacramento distinctive. It is what the citizens of Sacramento desire. They support those venues, they support those events, and the city needs to support those events. What can the city do to support was part of the question. I think the city can provide a sense of safety, and we have already mentioned the importance of public safety. So public safety will enhance the comfort of those going out in the evenings and the daytime to take advantage of many amenities we have in the city. I also note that there are, I believe, about 6 state parks within the Central City area, and I think we can do a better job as a city to leverage those assets, to work with the state, to make that another attraction, another reason to come to the city to use many amenities that we have in Central City.
Thank you. Steve.
First, we need to stabilize funding for some of the critical organizations like the Philharmonic, Community Center Theater, Sacramento Theater Company, these other organizations that are really critical. And I don't think that has to be city money, but I do think we have to make sure that the council members engaged. As the home and the heart of the arts community, District 4 has to have a council member that understands the arts. Having served on the advisory committee for the Verge Center for the Arts, which is a novel project with studio space for 31 artists on the R Street corridor and a large gallery space, I'd like to use those opportunities to fund innovative arts projects. Urban Hive and the Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Commission just launched an arts incubator program to make sure that artists have spaces to do their work, that they're supported. I think we need to do more of that, but we also need to make sure the community center theater renovation is done so we continue to have high quality entertainment there. We also need to make sure that the B Street Theater and the Powerhouse Science Center are also built to continue to maintain Sacramento as the core of the arts community.
Thank you. Melissa, would you please ask the next question first of Steve?
Thank you. Steve, earlier you mentioned the changes in the shape of the district, and we talked about the differences maybe between Land Park and Midtown. But I'd like to have you speak to the small area of Natomas that is now part of District 4. What issues do you think are important to the River Oaks neighborhood, and what are your plans to engage this particular pocket of residents and voters?
River Oaks is one of the most really interesting and wonderful neighborhoods that I think we have in District 4, but they have some real issues. Because of the building moratorium in Natomas, if a house of theirs burns down, they're not allowed to rebuild it. We need to make sure that we have strong public safety so that if there is a fire, we put it out before the structure is destroyed. But even more, their flood control premiums are very high, which is a drag on people's ability to stay in their homes during this economic time of distress. We've also pushed homelessness out of downtown, Midtown, and now along the levee. And people in River Oaks are starting to see homeless folks camping along the river, under the freeways. And I think the kids up there need parks that are completed. Some of the parks are only half done. And we need to make sure that River Oaks isn't overlooked because we're so focused on the Central City or Land Park that we forget the wonderful neighborhoods that are on the further edges of the district.
Thank you. Neil?
To follow on what Steve said and to continue with Safe Ground, the homeless problem is getting worse, and it's affecting a lot of communities, particularly River Oaks. And I think if we start working on that issue, we can actually help both constituencies. But again, I was not aware that the flood insurance was going up as much as it is, but that is a huge problem, particularly for families who right now are struggling to make it even the city is. So I'd like to work on that.
Thank you. Terry?
River Oaks, the whole community in River Oaks, Swallow's Nest, River Oaks neighborhood, Garden Highway community, are really a vibrant part of the city as well, an important part. I think what they've been able to do right is really activate their waterfront, their riverfront, and really make it exciting opportunities for people to come and to visit and interact with our river. I think the biggest challenge is frankly facing the River Oaks community is the challenge that faces the city as a whole is ensuring that we have adequate flood protection to protect the residents that have made that neighborhood their home. It's important that we work at a federal, state, and local level and have seamless leadership throughout those levels to make sure that flood control is a priority in River Oaks, to make sure flood control is a priority throughout the city, throughout District 4, and throughout the city, because ultimately, when it comes down to it, Sacramento is the greatest flood threat in the United States at this moment outside of New Orleans. We need to make sure that that risk does not happen and that our residents are not fall victim to a flood disaster. That's a priority of mine that I'm going to be working on in the years to come. I think that's important for the neighborhood and for the city.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. For fear of sounding repetitive, my greatest concern for the River Oaks, Swallow's Nest area is flood protection. We need to work with the federal government, the state government, to make sure funding is forthcoming as quickly as possible. There is another technique to try to fund levee improvement protection ahead of federal dollars. We need to take a look at that to see what the pluses and minuses are. how that balances with increasing flood insurance costs. I think one of the immediate needs that we need to watch for and be vigilant of is the pending FEMA designation change to A99. Hopefully that happens this year. With that, homeowners, buildings that suffer losses greater than 50% will be able to rebuild. And that is going to be very important in case there are some catastrophes, some unfortunate situations in the Natomas area to allow them to rebuild.
Thank you. We have time for a few more questions. So, Foon, if you would please direct the next question first to Terry.
Sure. So on July 1st, water and sewer rates are going to rise by double-digit percentages to help fund about $260 million in projects, including the rehab of the water treatment plant on the Sacramento River. Do you think the timing is right for such large increases when so many homeowners and businesses are struggling? And as part of that, do you support using the utility tax that goes into the general fund to use part of that to help poor and fixed income homeowners pay the increases?
I'm very sensitive to the fact that these proposed rate increases are going to have an impact on families and their pocketbooks and their ability to make ends meet every month. I would have to say, though, that we really do not have an option not to make these critical upgrades to our water infrastructure in the city. There's not an alternative, frankly, when it comes down to it. If our water system fails and we aren't able to provide that service to our residents and businesses, our economy will fail. And I'm not willing to wait to do those types of investments. I think what's actually important is to make sure that when we're going to be opening up our streets and opening up our roads throughout the downtown area, throughout our historic areas, throughout the city, that we make the best of that opportunity. We need to not just put in new water infrastructure, we need to be laying things like fiber optic technology. We need to be doing we need to be banking that land so we can provide new levels of infrastructure. If we need to bury our utilities, if we need to provide other levels of investment to hopefully let have that infrastructure lead us for another 100 years. We need to make sure that we're using our best opportunities at this time to do as much infrastructure development as we can for all residents.
Thank you. Neil?
Unfortunately, we've had decades to do this, and we haven't, and we've run out of time. So unfortunately, that has to come. But I would like to, going forward, is work towards having a long-term plan to ensure that these rates don't go up as fast as they're going. And I do agree that we should use some of the tax to help lower-income residents.
Thank you. Steve?
We essentially have had 3 strikes. Water meters, State Water Control Board saying that we have to upgrade our water treatment plant to get rid of ammonia. That's $1 billion too. Plus the aging infrastructure we have. We've funded, or underfunded rather, our city's water and sewer infrastructure so badly that sewer pipes are now only being scheduled to be replaced every 650 years. Their useful life is every 100 years. And I think that while we are going through difficult economic times, we need to look to innovation to see how we can extend the life of some of those pipes. There are technologies now where instead of digging them up, we can line them. And I think that we should pursue that to the greatest degree we can. There's actually a technology that was invented in Sacramento recently where you can send an electronic signal through the pipe and see where the holes are instead of just using a video camera. It's much more accurate, and we would have a better understanding of where we need to do the work. Finally, I do think that this is a generational challenge. We've underfunded for so long, but we can't make up all those years all at once.
Thank you. And Joe?
Thank you. This is an investment in the city's infrastructure that cannot be deferred any longer. It is going to impact those who own homes, those who rent homes, businesses in the city. But it is an expense, it is a task that has been deferred for too long. We need to address it, and while it is regrettable that the utility tax rates are going to go up double as anticipated in July, that is an investment we are going to need to make in the city. It is important also to take a look at what opportunities that we can integrate with this project to try to be as efficient as we can, being mindful that we do not want the scope of the project, the cost of the project to creep incrementally. It is expensive enough as it is, and it is important to get done. but let's find out, let's determine what the most efficient, effective method is to get it done and move forward.
Thank you. Cosmo, would you please direct the next question first to Neil?
Okay. The City Council in the next few months may place a measure on the November ballot that, if approved by voters, would create an elected charter commission to review and perhaps make changes to the structure of city government. Do you support an elected charter commission? Are there any parts of the charter that you think need to be changed?
Unfortunately, I think that the cost to do it is outrageous. The estimate was over $100,000, and we've already been working for a number of years on the strong mayor proposals, and that was shelved. I do think, regardless of whether you're for or against it, this voter should have the right to vote on it.
Thank you. Steve?
The Charter Commission ultimately, I think, will only prolong some of the drama and angst we've been through over the last 4 years. I don't think I've seen a problem that needs to be solved by changing our form of government. I think that we need to elect people who are professionals, who understand that their job on the council is to get a job done for the public and not to have personality conflicts that overwhelm their responsibilities to the public. And for me, I think the Charter Commission's a bad idea. I think that for 2 years, we'll see labor and business have a food fight. The Charter is mostly full of protections for labor negotiating and other things. And I just don't think at this time the city can handle the extra drama and energy needed to really figure that out. So I'm opposed to the Charter Commission.
Thank you. Joe?
I believe that it is the right and privilege of those voters in Sacramento to have their voice heard on the Charter Commission. Having said that, I would hope that the Charter Commission can be organized in such a fashion that, for instance, no compensation to commissioners and others, to try to curb the cost of a Charter Commission if the voters elect to go forward with the Charter Commission. The Charter is 90 years old, and times change, the needs of the city change, and it may be appropriate with the voters to take a look at that. I believe in the end, the governance of the city is right for the city. It requires cooperation, and I think that's fine. We need to be able to work together, to have a vision, to work collaboratively, and move the city forward. I would support a public vote on whether the charter is appropriate, Charter Commission is appropriate for the city or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry?
I think it's important to look at the genesis of this, which is the Strong Mayor Initiative. I oppose the first Strong Mayor Initiative. I oppose the second Strong Mayor Initiative. I oppose the third Strong Mayor Initiative. I oppose the Charter Review Commission. When it comes down to it, Sacramento faces a fiscal crisis. Sacramento does not face a governance crisis. Our charter is a sacred document in the city, and I have not seen any type of demonstrated crisis that requires us to revisit the entire charter. There are a great deal of protections in the charter for residents throughout the city. I think going in where we risk, frankly, eliminating collective bargaining rights and provisions for workers is not a smart move. And if people have a specific challenge with a portion of the charter, we can discuss that. But to do a full-blown review of the charter at this time, I think is bad for residents, and I think it's frankly a solution looking for a problem.
Thank you. Pia, would you please direct the next question first to Steve?
Steve, is there life after the death of the redevelopment agencies, and can you specifically talk about what role there is for local tools in redevelopment projects such as infrastructure and housing?
Having served for 4 years on the Downtown Partnership Board representing neighborhoods, I have firsthand experience with redevelopment. It was good, it was bad, there were the best of times, there were the worst of times, but I think we will survive the loss of redevelopment funds. Our schools will get more property tax dollars. The city will get a little bit more money too, because we won't divert those funds to redevelopment projects. But we have to find creative ways to fund infrastructure. Many of those dollars went to shore up seismically unsafe historic buildings, remediate asbestos, to do other kinds of things to turn around K Street, to turn around the blight that is in many parts of these redevelopment zones. Also, the rail yards was very dependent on redevelopment money for its infrastructure funding. We need to figure out whether Measure A, whether state bond funds can replace that money, and we just have to work harder. But I do think that we'll be fine without redevelopment.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you. Redevelopment, in part, was created to address blighted conditions. The need to resolve blight, to come up with alternative reuse of structures, doesn't go away with the removal of the redevelopment funding. We need to find alternatives that make sense, that achieves the same goal. We need to be creative, and we need to be efficient, and we need to still move forward with the idea of redevelopment. It is still important. It is a more significant challenge, but I'm sure that we can, over time, with some study, come up with tax increment funding and some others that will enable us to move forward with redevelopment.
Thank you. Terry?
I've actually been really excited and have spent my day job as a policy director working on what will become ultimately Redevelopment 2.0. Redevelopment 2.0, which is being discussed at the state level right now, is in Senate Bill 1156 and in other measures, is going to take the model of redevelopment, and instead of focusing on a blight model to address blight, we're going to be looking at promoting sustainability in our urban areas. I think what we can do with a redevelopment 2.0 that focuses on sustainability, we can build upon our success of really encouraging infill opportunities, encouraging transit modes of development, encouraging mixed-use opportunities in our urban areas. That's going to be a way that we do redevelopment in the future. We're going to be really reinvesting in our urban areas. We're going to be using sustainability as a model to grow our future. It's a proven model in Sacramento. We're using the resources that we have now. We have available resources from the state to, even with the death of redevelopment, to provide affordable housing. That's a huge priority for me in Sacramento, and I think we can do that. I think my work at the state level has really translates what we can do in Sacramento to make redevelopment 2.0 a reality.
Thank you. And Neil?
It's an interesting question that redevelopment might not exist without these agencies, because if you look downtown, there's redevelopment all the time by individual users. Capitol Stage is a great example. They took the old Armory on Broadway and turned it, on J Street, excuse me, and turned it into a theater. Look at Curtis Village that's going up over in the Curtis Park area. These are things that are happening all around us with or without these funds. We will be fine, and it may actually be better for us in the long term.
Thank you. And now we go to our final question. Melissa, would you please direct it first to Joe?
We have, although they're not all of the candidates that are running in this race are here today, we have 4 excellent candidates before us. And it seems to me that in a lot of areas there's agreement in a lot of your statements. What I'd like to hear from you in just 1 or 2 brief sentences, what differentiates you from the rest of the field of candidates?
What differentiates me? I believe that it is experience, it is knowledge of the city, knowledge of the community, as a small business owner, as a parent, as a person who has proudly served the community and the city for the last 18 years. It is the knowledge of where we are, how we got here, which will inform a vision for the future. It is my ability to work with the many businesses and communities, the recognition of their importance, the challenge before us of having all of the various parts of the city, parts of District 4 work together to the cohesive whole that we feel is important, and it's important enough to preserve. And I believe that my experience is not a constraint, but it is an attribute to build on.
Thank you. Terry?
I think what differentiates me, there's a number of things. I think what's important in the next few years is there are some very strong forces that are looking to make some fundamental changes in the way we do business in Sacramento. And I am unique in that I am willing to stand up against some of these forces that are looking to change our governance structure, to consolidate power for the few. I'm looking to stand up to forces that are looking to take over our school system and to privatize public education in Sacramento. I'm looking to stand up to make sure that we're giving voices to workers and make sure that we're standing up for the people that build this city and that serve this city honorably. As a product of the city, as a fourth-generation Sacramentan, I've got the unique life experience that other candidates don't have, and I look forward to using that experience along with my personal philosophies and belief and my work experience to serve the city. And I think that's really what separates me from the others today.
Thank you. Neil.
I have the opportunity of being a county employee for over 10 years. And that may not seem like a huge advantage, but as a government employee, I've actually had experience working with the government, both the good and the bad. I understand county budgets, I understand government funding. I think I could use that to actually look into the line item, get down into the detail, and actually work towards finding better answers, because it really does come down to the very small details, whether we have successes or failures.
Thank you. And Steve.
We've over-relied on government and construction. I'm the only candidate in this race that doesn't come from either of those two fields. I work for Genentech, which is a biotech company focused on innovation, how we solve serious problems that have been unresolved for generations. And in Sacramento, we have homelessness, which is a generational a problem that has been unresolved for generations. We have a wonderful arts community that could use our support. And I think that I bring a different perspective than we've traditionally had on the city council, and I'd like to press some of those notions. Secondly, I started my life in poverty, and I started my career doing civil rights. I have given 10 years of my life to making this community better, building a playground in Zapata Park for kids that didn't have one, serving on the board of the CARES Clinic, which is a $30+ million a year organization, to make sure poor people have access to health care. I have worked also on the Downtown Partnership Board to make sure those homelessness programs, the concerts in the park, all the things that we rely on are still there. And I want to continue that as your council member.
Thank you. That concludes the question and answer portion of this forum. We now move to closing statements. Terry?
Thank you very much. Thank you again to the League for hosting this event today, and thank you to our panelists and for the questionnaires and for the other candidates that are with us today. And I want to thank you, Sacramento, for your time and your interest in this important race. The next few years are going to be critical to the growth and development of Sacramento, and you have an opportunity this June to make sure that you've got an individual on the council that represents neighborhoods, that prioritizes people, and that's going to put people ahead of profits. We need to make sure that we've got people on this council that are going to stand up and do the right thing for the city. I'm proud of my history in this community. I'm proud of the work that I've done to promote sustainability, to promote smart ways that we can grow our downtowns. I'm proud of the work that I've done to respect and honor and protect historic communities throughout this district. I need your help this June. I need your help to make sure that we can continue that fight. I ask you to visit my website at www.terryshans.com, and I ask respectfully for your vote this June. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry Shantz. And Neil Davidson.
I've had an amazing life. I went to college, I graduated with a degree in chemistry, I've studied abroad, I've been to 6 continents. I want to bring that and all of my experience in government to help. I don't think I'm particularly special in any one way. I just recently bought a house, I'm renovating it. It's just the whole aspect of being a part of the city and making it a better place that is why I'm here. And I think I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Hansen.
I came to California right after college, pursuing the California dream. That idea that regardless of where you were born, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your sexual orientation or gender, you could be and can be anything you put your mind to with hard work. Sacramento has been a wonderful place for me. It's been my home, and I believe that to those who are given much, much is expected. And I want to continue to give back so that Sacramento has the same kind of bright future that I have. I could have never anticipated how wonderful the community would be to me and how lucky I would be. And I think we need council members who are willing to sacrifice, willing to work hard, to share those opportunities with others. It doesn't matter if you were born here. It doesn't matter which neighborhood you live in. It matters how you see the job. I see the job as a way to give back to the community and empower people who haven't always had a voice and give them opportunities to succeed so my kids or your kids can have a bright future.
Thank you. And Joe.
Thank you. As I said a few minutes ago, I am proud of my service, 18 years of service to the community. I believe that I have contributed to the development of Sacramento. During the course of the last 7 months or so, someone had asked me if I had made a commitment that would prevent me from making an independent decision. And I said then, and I say now, and I will continue to say that no, I am not. I will be a voice for an independent judgment to represent the district as a whole. Experience matters, and I ask for your support, and I ask for your support as we move forward to improve the city as we try to revitalize the city and to get past this budget crisis that we're currently in. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the 4 candidates here today, and if we can get the cameras on each of them one more time. Terry Shantz, Neil Davidson, Steve Hansen, and Joe Yee. I'd also like to thank the panelists who have given generously of their time. Foon Rhee from Sacramento Bee, Cosmo Garvin from News and Review, Pia Lopez from the Sacramento Bee, Melissa Corker also from the Sacramento Bee. Maybe I should just thank the Sacramento Bee, but thank you very much.
Sacramento Press.
Sacramento Press, yes, thank you. I also would like to thank all volunteers who have made today's forum possible. There are 2 websites voters may check for more information about the June 5th primary election. They are smartvoter.org and LWVSsacramento.org. This forum and other candidates' forums and ballot proposition analysis will be rebroadcast at Metro Cable Channel 14. Visit www.sacmetrocable.tv for the schedule. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission, I thank the candidates and our panelists for participating in today's forum. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that a democratic government depends on the active and informed participation of its citizenry. We hope that the insights that you have gained today will help you in casting an informed ballot on June 5th. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Please remember to vote on June 5th and help make our democracy work. Thank you.